on for years now. So I learned the language of the Dinka. And now I want to practice. As soon as I land there in Khartoum, at the hotel, I go to the reception and say, you know, I was trying to learn your language. No, that's a hobby with me. No, it's a hobby with me. I learn different languages. I can give you 20 different languages now standing here. 20 different languages. Besides Zulu and Afrikaans. 20 different languages. Swahili, French, Spanish, Indonesian, Malaysian. Come on, man, talk. What language? Hebrew. What language you want to hear? No, that's a hobby with me. So whenever I go to a new country, I learn the language of the people. So I learn the Dinka language. So I go to these guys, and I said, you know, I learned your language. He said, yes. I said, listen, see if I'm doing correct. All right. He said, yeah. I said, apiata batin, wiyakilik ith, apiati nunukwik, tijal an, nasha jil, kedujil ashibu inunukwik, kunalar, hikabatuj, inunukwik. He said, no, that's not my language. That's the language of that guy, the Dinka. The porter. He was standing there, tall African. This is the language of that guy there. So I go to him. I said, you know, I come from South Africa and I learned your language. I said, I want you to hear. And you know, I want you to help me. If I'm murdering your language, forgive me, it's not intentional. So I rattled it off. He says, very good. He said, where you learn this from? I said, learn it from the Holy Bible. I said, hey, tell me now, before the white bass came here to your country, did you people know anything about God? He said, yes. I said, did you make a statue of your God? He says, no. I said, could you not people out of a wood carve out the shape of a man or an animal, lion or a donkey? He said, yes, yes. Or out of clay, could you not make the shape of a man or a woman? He said, yes. So why didn't you make a statue of your God? He says, how, sir? How can you make a statue of God? He is nihalik. I says, what is nihalik? What is nihalik? In your language. He said, it means light. How can you make a statue of light? You know what he's telling me? He's telling me, Allahu nur samawati wal ard. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. He's telling me in his own language that he is light. How can you make a statue of light? I say, he's a Muslim. And we say he's a kafir. No, it's a sickness, man. Learn to find common grounds. Talk to the people, man. What is this concept? And you find that he's talking what you want to tell him. He's telling you, Allahu nur samawati wal ard. We should have gone and told him that that is what the Quran says, that he is the light of the heavens and the earth. That's nihalik in his language is nur. I says, you see, there is the African, to me, the African, almost every tribe that I know, south of the Zambezi, not a single tribe made images of their gods. Not a single tribe. As such, they were better than the Jews. The Jews, after hundreds of prophets coming to them, they were warned again and again that thy God is a jealous God. He shall have no other gods before him, not even the likeness of the things on earth, or in the heavens above, or in the waters beneath the sea. For he says, my name is, I am a jealous God. I shall have no other God before me. Yet they made the golden calf. The Jews. The Africans, they made no images, no statues of their gods. They are nearer to Islam than any other people, Allah. But I don't know, we are so blind, we can't see it. Talk to them, man, talk to them. Show the common grounds. That this is the same God. We want you to go back to the same concept that you had before the white bass came, before he twisted your brains. Go back, and by going back, you're going forward. Yes, my son.
Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Deedat. I believe the Pope is arriving soon to South Africa. Are you prepared to meet him?
I'll be very happy. I had sent a letter to him that, Your Holiness, you're talking about a dialogue. You know, he's talking about dialogues. He went to Turkey, he said we must have a dialogue with the Muslims. When he went to Nigeria, he said we must have a dialogue with the Muslims. When he went to Kenya, he said we must have a dialogue with the Muslims. He went to Morocco, he said we must have a dialogue with the Muslims. I said, come, Your Holiness, let us have a dialogue. That's a big story. That's another big story. No. Also in this book, inshallah, in September, when I return from England, I might deliver a lecture on this book. Islam's answer to the Pope's pious pronouncements. There'll be a lecture, inshallah, in this hall. No? He's talking about dialogue here in this book as well. That we must have a dialogue with the followers of the Prophet. In this book, in this latest book of his. So then I offered this in the Sunday Tribune. I said, look, man, come on, man. Your Pope says we must have a dialogue. And I'm looking for a bishop or an archbishop of the Roman Catholic Church or the Anglican Church or the DRC. Come and let us have a dialogue. But no, they want to come and knock at your door, catch you out one by one, because you are ignorant. You don't know. You have no knowledge. You want to push things down your throat. I said, come and talk, man. I can get 40,000 people in the King's Park. Is that King's Park? 40,000 Hindus, Muslims, and Christians and Jews, 40,000 people at my expense. Come and talk to them. You want a dialogue? Come and let's have a dialogue in public. They're silent as church mice.
Namaste, Mr. Deedat. Nice to meet you. My name is Diamond Lal. I'm from USA. And I would like to ask you a couple of questions, sir.
Not couple, only one.
One, okay. You said that the Lord Almighty is in everything within the cosmos.
He permeates.
It
permeates everything.
Does He also permits in the fear within the cosmic too? Does He permits there in the?
I have a little poem. I think you're giving me an opportunity. William Wordsworth, the British poet, he describes it, and this is truly Islamic. William Wordsworth, he says in his Tintern Abbey, his book of poetry called Tintern Abbey, he says about God, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean and the living air, and in the blue sky and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. This is Islam. It happens to be William Wordsworth who said it, but it's fitting. It's describing what I wanted to say and what you're asking. His dwelling is the light of setting sun. He doesn't reside there. He's not located there. But figuratively, his dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and in the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. I think he described it beautifully. Yes, this is the last question.
Yeah,
and after that, I'll ask my sisters for that 100 rand. I don't want to take it back with me. I want to give to somebody that 100 rand. You see, for 2 reasons why a Muslim is not likely to have this book. 2 reasons why a Muslim is not likely to have this book, the Pope's book. 2 reasons. No, please, no, please. Please, my brothers, please, you'll forgive me. Please, this is the last question. I mentioned this is the last question. Please. All good things have an end. Otherwise we can carry on till midnight. Yes, my
Yeah, Mr. Deedat, like, in South Africa, like in countries like America, those countries that are highly industrializing, we find that the rate of unemployment, increases, and that it results in a high rate of crime, poverty, diseases, all those things, as we find it happening in South Africa. Then how can Islam, or Islam in association with other religions, can address these problems? What can they do in order to address the problem, especially to the historically disadvantaged people of this country, who are the majority who are in starvation?
You see, the way we can establish the kingdom of God on earth is to follow His instructions. Mankind wants peace, but he does not want to be tied down to any law. He wants to be free. He wants to make laws for everybody else, but he wants to have the license to do what he likes. He wants to behave like an animal. The laws of God in the Quran and the Bible, they're giving remedies to your sicknesses. In the Bible and the Quran. And maybe in the Bhagavad Gita and the Ramayana. I don't know. If Swami Sahib was here, he might have helped us. But now I said, this is all in your book. The Christian, you said you got it in your book. But you don't want to follow it. Jesus said, if the eye offends you, cast it out. If the hand offends you, cut it off. Did your Jesus say that? Is this not in your book? No. You see, it could have other meanings, ambiguities. When I talk about, so look, he said in clear-cut language that if the eye offends you, meaning if this eye of yours is lusting, every woman that passed by, you give a second look and you stare and you feast, and the thoughts goes through your mind. Jesus said you are already guilty of adultery. He said, it has been said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, whosoever looketh upon a woman to lust after her had committed adultery with her already.